this is Sergio, and today I have my friend Nick. He's an investor, single family homes, commercial real estate, the stock market, whatever make profit, you have your hands on.
Exactly. It's, as the saying goes, it's like I buy anything for the right price. So
Exactly. And that's literally something we were saying, and I want to start the conversation with that. On every investment, you make the money when you purchase whatever investment you're doing.
100%. Doesn't matter what it is, commercial real estate, residential, stock market, commodities, whatever. You make the money on the buy.
Yeah, that's right. So we're talking a little bit about the last flip that you were doing, and you rented it already. Told me a little bit what you do and.
Right. So I do pretty much everything under the sun when it relates to real estate. So I started just as anybody would start wholesaling, and then of course once you graduate out of wholesale, that's a very safe have a safety net. So you get some funds under you, and then you start diving into a little bit bigger projects like fix and flips, fix and hold, maybe short-term rental, maybe long-term rental. So the example that he's talking about, since the market is in such a flux right now, we took over the property when everything was just going crazy. The housing shortage,
Yeah.
the demand, and an interest rate was just like 2.some%, almost free money.
2.5%.
Right.
That's free money.
Yeah, so we took over that property with good intentions, and again, we bought it right with deep discounts. But when the rehab was finished, the market had flipped in 4 months, just 4 months. Interest rate rose from like almost 2.5 to now 7% or 6%,
Yeah.
whatever it is right now at this time. And then the appraisal is coming 30% lower when you're trying to borrow money back to refi it.
Mm-hmm.
So again, as we were talking, you buy it right. So if you buy it right, it leaves you with that room of safety that you can deploy multiple strategies. So now we are, instead of selling it, we're renting it out. And it's going to be a very good cash flow property, but we're not able to take as much cash as we had hoped.
Exactly. And that's something that when we're doing investment, is something that I tell everybody. You have to be able and willing to deploy any of the strategies that you have available for, let's say, a flip.
100%.
If you are planning to flip the house, you run the numbers for a flip, but you need to also run the numbers for a rental, seller finance, whatever strategy you can have, because then, like in your case, you can sell it, or you're gonna sell it at a discount.
Yeah. Well, you're hitting two of the basic mindset that you have to have. So able, that's the mindset that you have to buy it right. Don't rush. Hey, I found a deal and I just gotta get it. Don't do that. If the numbers don't add up, walk away.
I actually have one of my agents in my office that we're looking at a house. She fell in love with the house.
That love does not compute reasoning most times.
I have to stop it.
Yes.
Cold. No.
Yeah.
Because she was trying to buy based on feelings. And when I run the numbers super quick, I did a small search. They weren't adding up. And I was like, okay, no, you're not allowed to buy this house. Yeah. But I like it. Are you going to buy it for you?
For you? Oh my God.
Are you going to buy it for you? You're going to live on the house for the next 10, 15 years? Or you're going to flip it? You're going to rent it out? Because depending on whatever you tell me right now, I can tell you you're going to buy it or not. And that's how it works. You cannot buy it based on feelings.
No, I get into, I take on students who want to learn and things like that, and they'll bring me a deal, and they would get personally attached to the property. Okay, because I get it. You spent the time, sometimes money, to get the deal, and then some, fish hole got caught a fish, and all of a sudden it's not the right fish.
Exactly.
So you're kind of sort of cheating yourself, saying, "Oh no, this is a deal. I have to do whatever it takes." No, if the numbers don't add up, have very hard numbers. For a certain fix and flip, make sure it's 25% or above. For rental, 1% or more after it's done, or more. Actually, 1.25 right now.
Exactly.
And we're going to talk about it maybe later, is how do you convert those portfolios into steady financings like
Exactly.
mortgages and things like that. So if those numbers are not adding up, just move away. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first thing. We cannot buy on. I mean, and it's pretty fulfilling when you buy a house that is falling apart, and when you have the final product that it looks really nice. It's almost inevitable to fall in love with the house, but that has to be the last resort, and it cannot be the main way that you analyze a property. It
Well,
cannot
that
be.
leads to the second problem, right? So when you basically you let your guard down and you fall in love with the property, oh my God, such a good property, and I'm gonna do this, this, and that. Now all of a sudden you're rehabbing the property not
For you.
for you, not for what the ARV is gonna be at the end of it.
Exactly.
You're putting extra item, extra money, extra time,
Uh-huh.
and then that is like sure way of breaking your budget out of the.
And that happens to one of my first flip that I didn't follow that rule. I start taking walls down. I actually put quartz on this house that it was a medium average price. And something that I didn't notice, now I learned the hard way. Gladly I didn't lose money on that house, but I didn't make the money that I was planning on. So something where you're flipping houses, single family homes, you need to match the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I had the house right across the street. It was exactly the same floor plan. It was with the 80s decoration, and they sold the house for $10,000 less than mine. That was fully remodeled,
Right.
updated, up to date, everything. So I would have matched the neighborhood because mine was the only one fully remodeled. I could have made the same money, but I didn't spend the money on the rehab that I did.
Yeah, so nowadays, like when I started, and this is not long ago, just a few years ago, we didn't even have tools. Now they're actually, I'm not going to advertise, but hit us up and we'll tell you.
Exactly. We'll tell you the tools.
Literally go to those tools and find out in your neighborhood what these rehabbers did with the property before and after.
Exactly.
And what they sold for. So
Exactly.
you don't have to go over, above, and beyond spending your money, time, and effort. Just get it. If your plan is to sell it, just get it to the point where it will fetch the money that you thought it would.
Exactly.
Which is after repair value.
Exactly.
Right? And that actually happens usually because we do new constructions as well. Right? We have partners and whatnot. And then they get attached to it. It's my house. I'm building it from ground up. And then they start putting things that are not needed.
Exactly.
Okay, but they don't see at the end. It's literally somebody's reaching into your pocket and taking the profit out. Right. So if you added like a mudroom that was not needed in the neighborhood, it didn't suit the neighborhood, or tiled wall is like a new thing right these days. You know, the whiteouts.
Exactly.
They put that in the neighborhood. Didn't have that to back it up, because those are zero value items. Really is. I mean, you can put $1 million chandelier. Nobody's gonna pay for it.
No.
What fetches money is square footage to a ratio. Okay?
Exactly.
There's actually a math behind it, because you have to look at the neighborhood and find out average square footage.
Exactly.
Anything over by 500, 1,000, the value goes by 20% each 100, 500 or 1,000. So again, you learn those things when you start doing it, right? So the number one things that fetch money is square foot, number of rooms, kitchen, bathrooms.
Yeah, and something that a lot of people tell me, and when I'm gonna put a house for sale on the real estate side, oh, but why you're telling me that my house is worth it only 20, 30,000 over, when the house you're comparing is, let's say, 2,500, mine is 45. Yeah, that's a white elephant in the room.
Yeah.
You cannot compare because the average, the market is saying this. Now you're way out of the average, so it's an outliner. So it's really hard to compare. And in reality, that house is losing value or not appreciating and getting the value that you were expecting.
Right. You know, the famous saying is, what was the value of a house? And they say it's whatever whoever will pay for it. But that is only true when the market is red hot.
Exactly.
And there's not a whole lot of supply left.
Exactly.
Okay. So we're in that weird position where, I mean, I don't want to get into the fads and all that, but you have to understand the macro and microeconomics of the market, where the feds are trying to destroy the value. because they're holding that as an inflationary package on their books.
Yeah.
Right. So because they printed trillions of dollars, and number one thing was also housing, and they're holding lots of securities in housing. So now all of a sudden it's worth not as much. So they're trying to literally burn money. So they give you free money, right?
Now they want to take it
now
back.
they can't take it back from you, right? So what do they have to do? They have to burn it somehow. So they have to burn it with higher prices, lower demand, higher interest rate, lower demand. So they're literally cutting off the printed money that was in circulation.
But actually, something I think, at least on the housing market, that's kind of backfiring a little bit, because now you have the hedge fund that discovered real estate, and they're buying left, center, and right. That's taking properties off the market, because when the hedge fund buy a property, that house is
gone.
elite.
It's gone. It will never come back on the market.
That never come back on the
Unless they
market.
liquidate like Zillow.
That was a bad move.
Oh.
But anyway.
They were not. Again, it's like somebody told them, some analyst told them this is a red hot market. They just didn't know how to get into the market and get out at the right time. They
Exactly.
bought thousands and thousands. And I know it happened to my friends.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh my God, Zillow paid me over whatever percentage. Like, what? Well, Zillow is crazy. But they had spent billions of dollars to jack up the market artificially, because they would buy one house in the block for a very high price, or two or three, whatever, and then it raises the rest of them because they were buying by the lots.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, they try to inflate the prices artificially, and it backfired.
They don't want to be caught. They got caught with pants.
I mean, I guess that's a pretty big write-off.
As investors, I have some medium, large, whatnot. We would get their sell list,
Uh-huh.
and I'm like, I'm not touching it. You have no idea what they did with it. They thought they could fix and flip too.
No.
Sell it to Zillow. No matter what condition.
And they were actually, I came across a few offers from them, actually one of my listings, and if they had no competition, they were hitting low, really low. Now they were overpaying on the ones that were listed with an agent, and
so many factors right now in the market.
Yeah.
So again, it all goes back to buy the property right. If you do that, you can sleep at night.
yeah,
Okay, that's what it is. And we have very strict guidelines right now. Buy it, whatever purpose you're buying it for. If it does not, and goes back to the original point, right? Willing and able. Okay, so able means you bought it right, so you're able to use multiple strategies. And then willing is don't have a stuck mind frame that, no, I was only going to sell it, so I'm only going to sell it. Where, that's like a lose-lose mentality. You get stuck in a ratchet state. I mean, just write out the times, right? So a couple of our properties, we wanted to sell and get the cash out. We couldn't. For the price, we couldn't. I mean, we're going to be profitable because we bought deep discounts. But I don't want to sell those properties right now that will be in 2 years back to where they were.
exactly.
So we're either doing short-term rental. And actually, we can talk about short-term because it gets into commercial a little bit.
Yes.
Because it's on the rise, the short-term and the mid-term
Yep.
rentals. So
Yep.
so we're holding on to those properties till Fed starts lowering the rate, which won't be this year.
No,
I don't think. I think they may not raise it next time, and then watch it till maybe October because we're predicting a little fall in October. It always is. Market is high till October.
Exactly.
And then everybody just kind of
Yeah, and right now spring is when the market start picking up a little bit because parents are looking schools,
It does.
getting the
In general.
taxes in
In
general.
general.
And something when I kind of coach people that want to start doing real estate, man, don't start investing with the grocery money. Because
Right.
people start, okay, I have $40,000-$50,000. I want to buy a house. I want to flip it around, but I have to have my cash back in 4-6 months. Don't do it.
Right. Yeah. Again, it goes back to like before you get into any investing, right? Get the right mindset and get to why first. Once you get that, then rest of the stuff you will resolve on its own, depending on what the market is, because then you're agile. And your mindset is in the right place. I'm not doing it for it's my lifestyle.
Exactly.
I'm not doing it for just one quick game. Most those people lose.
Exactly.
right? Because they're trying to, oh, it was so hot, let's just get in, and then just they make the wrong deal, and then depending on where the market was and where they were, they could fall into the the segment that the market is bad now, or whatever they were doing, the market is bad for that.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly. Yeah, and whenever we buy a property, we need to be. I think we need to run the numbers for every strategy possible. So if we cannot do one because the market did whatever thing, then we can move on to the next, and we still make the
Right.
money. And
so it brings it a good point, right? So you're hitting the hammer on the nail right now. So basically, how we work is when we get the deal dictates what we're going to do.
exactly,
But over experience, you kind of sort of know. But I'm always running numbers like if I did this, it's gonna happen to this. So it's like chess.
exactly,
You're like 2 moves ahead,
exactly,
rather than like no, I'm just gonna deploy one strategy. Because if you're a one strategy person, then you may not even be able to acquire the property because there's like a dozen strategies we deploy to
Exactly.
even acquire the property.
exactly.
You know?
And normally, I like to go when I'm. Let's say I have 4 strategies. I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna rent it out. I'm gonna do short term, or I can even consider seller finance. Whenever they have to work in the 4 of them, but I'm gonna go with the lowest one.
Yeah.
And that's the one that I'm gonna analyze and run the numbers for the most, because if I have to do that one, then I don't want to lose money on the last one.
Right. So,
And
and everybody gets into a favorite strategy.
yeah,
Because and it's okay because sometimes it's good to have like a bunch of tools in your chest, right? But it's good to go deep in a few,
exactly,
not just one. Deep in a few, and I recommend that too. But then leave yourself open to it didn't work, but I know how to do the XYZ also.
Exactly.
ABC didn't work.
exactly. For this specific deal, I rather flip it around. I bought it for a rental, but man, the numbers are making sense on a flip. I rather sell that one and go
Exactly.
get 2-3 more.
Yeah.
Because it just makes sense. So, I don't know.
And I mean, but these days numbers are hard to make it work, right?
Yeah.
So of course you're not able to sell the property as high as you would like. Number one, so you have to hold it, right?
Yeah.
Short-term rent, long-term, whatever it is. So after you're in the game for a little bit, you have a portfolio, right? And then the Fannie Mae, Freddie, whatever mortgage companies, they put a limit on how many homes you can own. Okay.
Exactly.
So then you have to transfer that into maybe a commercial note or use different strategies to finance that property. Because you don't want to keep on paying hard money lender, because that's like what right now it's about 10, 12, 13%.
10, 12.
Right? So you want to switch that to like, it's 7% is still better than 12%. So now you have to think in future, say, okay, if I acquire this property, is it going to rent? Because the DSCR loan, it's a debt ratio, basically financing, they now require 1.25 of the ratio of whatever you're renting. Okay, so you have to make sure that your property is going to clear that ratio or not, your lease or whoever.
Can you explain real quick what the 1.25 for the people?
So 1.25 of the rent value. So whatever you owe, make sure you're getting back 1.25.
Exactly.
Like your mortgage is 1,000, make sure the rent is
1,500
or something. Yeah, and more the merrier.
Exactly.
So you want to clear that comfortably.
Exactly.
You don't want to be in a position where they say, "Oh no, it's really close, and since we're tight, we're not going to give you," and then they raise up the interest rate because their interest rate may depend on how much that ratio you're clearing by.
Exactly.
Okay?
With the rent.
If you're right at the number, they may give you even 8%. I mean, and it makes a difference in your cash flow.
Exactly.
So a lot of things too these days. Be careful, but I think still this is the right time to buy.
I mean,
Right.
I always say, man, the right time to buy is whenever you're ready. If you're ready today, buy today.
Yeah.
Don't wait for the future, because the future, you don't know what's going to happen. I had a lot of people that told me when the pandemic started, I had a lot of people. That's when I got my real estate license after being flipping houses for a few years. What are you doing getting the real estate license? The market is going to crash. And I'm like, dude, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. The market is going to crash. Why you want to wait or forget about it? and then boom, the market went crazy high.
Wow. And you know what they say about the predictors.
Yeah.
You'll be right if you predict often and a lot. So
Exactly.
You'll be right in one of those times.
Exactly.
Well, you have to look at the market indicators and then just adjust. There's no right
Exactly.
or wrong time. Buy it right. So if the market is down 30%, buy it 30% down. And then hold or whatever. You can't lose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned earlier something about the short terms, the midterms, and the commercial.
Yeah, so what we're seeing right now is with our properties is a rise of the midterm rentals.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not talking Airbnb. Airbnb is actually is kind of
Short term.
either stalled
Yeah.
right now or going down because there's so many people got into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm seeing that the corporate housing
Uh-huh.
is picking up.
Yeah.
And it's more stable actually. Because they don't rent your house for days to a week or whatever, and you have such a high turnover rate and then clean. I mean, it gets to be a little bit pain. But I'd rather rent a house for a higher rent for 3 months
Oh yeah.
because 2 of our properties are on these portals for midterm rentals, and I kid you not, I get 5 or 10 pings on those every day.
Mm-hmm.
So they're people because Texas is great for that.
Yeah.
There's still people moving in by herd over here. Okay, and what do? They come here and then they want to have a place while they get settled. Maybe bring family later, so they want to have a temporary housing.
Exactly.
Okay, or maybe their corporate or whatever company has sponsored them. Hey, go look for a house, and then we'll pay you while you stay in another house.
Exactly.
And it's usually a higher amount than your long-term rentals.
Yeah, because at this point you're paying for a commodity. You're not paying for the place.
Yeah, and again, there's nuances. So you just don't take it like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do short-term, midterm, right? Well, midterm, you do have to furnish the place.
Exactly.
Because they're looking for a turnkey. I'm just gonna come here, 1, 2 bedroom, whatever it is. Maybe they're moving it with their spouse, girlfriends, whatever, boyfriend. So they need multiple rooms, or maybe there's a kid involved. So you gotta furnish it almost like an Airbnb, almost, not quite, because they need to bring some things, and it dictated by the contract you sign.
Okay.
Okay, but yeah, those are up, and it's hassle free. Those are vetted because you have a corporate connection.
Exactly.
And they do background checks and stuff, so they're professionals.
Yeah, and actually here in the DFW, I had a few friends that they're flight attendants in the airport, and they do have a huge demand on those rentals because they have, for example, they rent the house, this group of flight attendant or pilots, they as a group, they rent the house for a few months, and then they can just come in and out because this is going to be their route for the next 3 months. And they cannot buy an apartment, rent an apartment because it's too expensive. I mean, it doesn't fit their needs, and then they cannot rent an Airbnb.
And they may get transferred somewhere else.
Exactly.
Their next leg, maybe whatever. Like we get pings from a lot of doctors and nurses because
that's a thing right now.
Yeah, so
traveling
they get them moved around because they have residencies.
Exactly.
Right? So they may do a residency here, then they get to move around, and they may have domicile somewhere else. So we get pinged from those corporate housing people a lot. There's also niches in this market. You can also, like if you have a 3-bedroom house, right? You can actually rent rooms.
Exactly.
And it triples your rent because usually they pay almost like a single bedroom apartment. But then if you have 3 bedrooms that you can lock and provide security and stuff,
Yeah, and that's very easy to do. I mean, if you're leaving the house for privacy, you put a lock in the door for the room. And
one of our houses, we constructed it like this. So we have 3 sections of the house. One is a bedroom suite, so maybe like somebody wants like a larger, so of course rent is higher. And then we have 2 bedrooms that are again has a lock and key, so you can lock your whatever and leave. But then you do have a common area, living room, dining, kitchen, all that good stuff.
Exactly. And you mentioned you have something on commercial real estate.
So commercial right now, what we're trying to do is either like duplexes, multi-home, but they're smaller. So 2 to 6 on a lot, condo style, so construct them
Mm-hmm.
and then sell, or and then either lease them out too.
Okay.
So you may have seen, like, you drive around, if you know, this is, you have to spot the trends too before, you know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So if you drive around DFW, you'll see a lot of these houses. They have planned leased communities. So those are popping up
Yes.
throughout because we don't have,
Mm-hmm.
we just can't build fast enough.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's a good entry for the people wanting to own a house without owning a house. So
Exactly.
they're in some fashion connected to each other, right?
Yeah, and actually, I went to a conference in a few months ago, and this one was a commercial real estate conference based on industrial and how much warehouses were building, and they were saying that DFW specifically, we're having 1,000 people moving in net daily.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That
My number
is
was 800, but it has increased, I guess.
That is
Because-
insane.
So where are they gonna go, right? Yeah. So this is
They're
what I
not
was gonna
allowed under the
ask you.
bridge.
I was gonna ask you. So when pandemic happened,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people went into like home-based businesses.
Yeah.
But they needed, and this is where the commercial comes in. But they needed like a office warehouse,
Yes.
right? So a lot of people started constructing those siloed.
Those
like-
are called the flex warehouses.
right. So is it still a thing? Because
If it's still a thing,
Yeah.
that is the thing.
this is the thing.
Like right now, okay, so right now I had a development going in Justin, Texas, which is right behind the Texas Speedway.
Speedway, yeah.
And on that one, we're building 40,000 square feet of warehouses. It's a flex warehouse.
So what does each warehouse entails? Like how much is or is it like different sizes?
Okay,
Small,
the-
medium, jumbo, whatever.
Yeah, so the flex warehouses, you have a building of 5,000 square feet,
5,000. Okay.
and typically they're 16 feet high. And then they can divide it either 1,500 square feet or 3,000, 2,500 each one. Now, I'm saying specifically 5,000 because if you go over 5,000,
regulations start-
then you're gonna trigger the fire sprinkler
Yes, I was
system.
gonna ask you that. Yeah.
And that is $100,000 on top of it.
And that's why what I'm looking for is smaller
Exactly.
multifamilies.
Yeah, because
so
you-
we don't cross that threshold
You don't
because it
trigger.
becomes two projects instead of one project that's more square foot, and then you have
Exactly.
to have the fire marshal, the codes, and stairway and clearings and all that good stuff.
Exactly. So what is popping a lot is 5,000 square feet. It depends on the city. There's a lot of cities that allow going up to 6,000 without triggering the city, the codes, right? So, but typically, let's say you have a 5,000 square feet. It is divided 2,500. Now you have two tenants,
Yeah.
and typically they have probably 600 square feet office, 3 offices, small kitchen, 2 bathroom, and then the rest is warehouse.
So, are you constructing it and leasing it out or selling it?
It depends.
Okay.
It depends because there's one that we're doing so much. So we're gonna start building. We build one phase, we sell them,
Okay.
we pay back the lender, we cash out, we build the second phase, we stabilize. Depending the strategy, I start marketing for owner occupy. If I cannot sell it before finishing or finish out without the tenant, then I stabilize the property. I sell it to an investor. That's why I need to study all the different
Right.
markets.
Multiple strategies even for
Uh-huh.
commercial.
Exactly. And let's say we have 4 phases. So we build the first phase, we sell it, we pay the loan, we take the loan back. We build the second phase, we sell it. By the time we sell the third phase, we have the fourth phase free and clear.
Yeah.
At that moment, you keep it, you stabilize, refinance, cash out, and now you have free
So,
money.
so we were talking like in the hallway. It's like an inevitable step from residential to
Commercial.
because you may do 10 residential deals but you may do one commercial, and that's
And it's the same.
it is the same or more, right?
And
But-
actually, commercial, this is something that people confuse a lot. On commercial, they hire, the bigger the deal, the easier it gets.
Right. So what I was going to ask you, and that's a valid point too, but then the other one is people coming out of residential, they sometimes don't know how to value the commercial property.
Yes,
Okay.
that's a huge,
Right.
huge mistake that I get all the time.
'Cause-
Because they think that they can get to the value of the properties the same way they do on residential. What they don't realize is in residential, for example, if you have 3 houses that they sold for 300,000, now the fourth one is going for 400,000.
Right.
But it has to be in the same condition. Now on commercial, I don't care the condition of the property. If the property is bringing the income,
Right.
that's the one that is going to
So
dictate
this is
the
where
value.
the cap rates come in for
Exactly.
valuation. Like let's say you want to take down a commercial property, right? So it's not comps. It's what the property is producing.
Exactly.
Okay. So what would you say, like a 10 cap rate?
Yeah,
is
typically-
10 to 12 is really good.
Yeah, that is really
That's a
good
home
actually.
run kind of a number.
Yeah, anything over 10% is considered a home run, depending if you still have room to add value
Yes.
on the property. But average, the properties are trading anywhere between 8%, 9%.
8% is still good.
Yeah.
Right. 8% is still good. So if it's a $100,000 property and you're bringing in like 5 tenants or whatever it is, $10,000. That's 10%
Exactly.
right there. So that's a good number. But then you can come in and provide auxiliary services to raise the money coming in.
Exactly.
Okay? And that raises the value of the property. So let's say that was a 100,000 property. Just by raising 20% of your revenue, all of a sudden that property gets to be like 120
Yeah.
plus.
Yeah, and that's the beauty about commercial real estate. It's so easy to add value to the property because, for example, let's say we buy 20 units multifamily complex.
Sure.
You add a few carports.
Oh,
You
yes.
charge
Yes.
$35
Those are added services.
per spot. And let's say you have, I don't know, 10.
Yep.
You raise the value just on that thousands of dollars.
Exactly.
And you're adding only $35 to the tenant. You put vending machines, laundry.
Laundry, yeah. And laundry could be a source of income by itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you provide, let's say, you change the locks and put the coded Wi-Fi ones. You
Right.
you raise the rent a little bit.
So this is a thing in residential too. So if you introduce technology, the value goes up by 10 to 15,000 just by saying smart home, smart apartment, smart whatever. Okay, that's like a best ROI. So all you have to do is you have to have three things in the house that are smart. So it could be a lock, alarm system, thermostats, or any other device, and it makes it a smart home.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's so easy to in commercial real estate. It's so easy to add value, and you don't even a lot of time you don't even to put a lot of money on the property because now we're not talking about painting. We're not talking about fixing the floors. We're not talking about putting granite countertops. It's literally making the life easier for the tenant, so you can charge them a little bit more. And something else that I like about commercial real estate out of the multifamily, and I bias a little bit with industrial. Number one is the tenants. Normally, the term of the lease is way longer.
Oh yeah, so exactly. Yep.
And something about that I like about warehouses, the tenant leave, swipe the floors, onto the next.
Oh yeah, it's almost. I mean, unless they did some number on it, usually because it's just a box for warehouses and things like that. It's just a box. You just fix it up, and then there comes the next tenant. Yeah, the leases are longer, and they pay all the triple net. So you have less liability on your part. So I mean, I mean, I like the commercial game.
Yeah, I discovered commercial. I actually started on commercial real estate on multifamilies. But now, when I start digging into commercial real estate, I discovered industrial, which right now I had a few properties, warehouses, and developments. And then I also discovered self storage.
Right.
That one I like. It behaves like a multifamily, but it's
And a lot of people kind of disregard that one because it's boring. To me, the more boring it is, the better it is.
yeah, because nobody want it.
Well, because it's a lot less headache for you. There's not a lot of maintenance or whatnot goes it. And if you add technology to even that, so I have a friend who has storage units. He actually bought a storage unit from an older gentleman who was just retiring, wanted to get rid of it. And he just added some smart options like self check-in, check-out, the door locks and stuff. And he introduced an app. There's actually an app.
That friend is in Amarillo, Texas, by any chance?
No, he's
Because I had a friend literally with that scenario.
so all he did was just add technology because he's a young guy. He said, okay, I'm gonna make it easy for how would I rent a storage. So he started thinking, and then he just added those 2 or 3 things. And there's actually a service, I can't remember which one it is, and you just buy the subscription, and they do everything. It's like a centralized app all of these storage units use. Just by introducing that, so you can book online, you can pay online, check in, check out. Who's gonna rent storage that is this easy rather than driving up filling out forms and it's, all the good stuff. So and as millennial and Gen Zs don't want to talk to anybody.
The more stuff that I can do on the phone, the better the asset.
Yeah.
Literally. And actually, I asked you about the friend because I do have a friend that he bought a few years ago, one in Amarillo, Texas. And the beauty about real estate, he bought a $700,000 property with no money.
Yeah.
Seller finance. He put only $30,000, 30 give and take, on the property, and 2 years later he refinanced that stuff for almost triple the value.
I mean that's like a normal journey of a real estate person, right? So like this, like when you're young and accumulating, it's like going up the hill, right? Just piling on, and then when you're coming down the hill, you've made your money, and then you need to liquidate or consolidate, and then we're gonna be in 20 years
going up.
Yeah, we're gonna be one of those people. It's like we'll do seller financing. I already made the money
every day,
right? And you just pay me.
Right? Yeah, because I mean, I'm doing the same cash flow, but now I just transfer the headache deed to you.
Like, I mean, in 15, 20 years, whatever, you may get to refinance the property twice. To really, get the money out and whatnot. And then the next person takes it over, and then the cycle starts. I mean, it's beautiful.
Keeps going. Yeah, and it's so common doing seller finance on commercial real estate, and that's why I didn't realize how easy it was. And I was seeing all these gurus and big players. You can start real estate with no money, and I was one of those like. How?
Right? Yeah.
How? I need money for everything. What are you talking about?
Skepticism takes over, and there's no good way to fight that. Like if somebody just puts negative, and this is where we're going back to mindset, right? If you don't have the right mindset, rather than saying what's the solution, there's a problem, there's this problem, there's that problem, then it's no point.
Yeah, I don't like dealing with problem people.
So. You're talking about seller financing, and then so there's a brother to it, called Subject 2. So they're two different, but then each of them has to have a different criteria and situation. So seller financing is great if he has no equity.
Exactly.
Right? Just take over or if you don't have any credit or whatnot, if you don't have any money, just have the seller basically finance it for you. You just take over. Either rent it out or whatnot, rehab it, sell it, whatnot, and then give the money back to the seller.
Yeah.
And then Subject 2 is they just don't want the house. They don't want the house. You're actually solving their problem.
Exactly.
I will take over the house for whatever your mortgage payment is. I will take over your mortgage payment.
Exactly.
Okay, so you have two documents here. You have the deed and the note.
Exactly.
So the law allows anybody, and this is what most people don't understand, and it's like even some of my realtor friends don't understand this. It's like, oh, that can't be legal. No, it's actually a U.S. law.
It's
that
actually a thing.
anybody can pay your note. Anyone can write my mortgage check payment. It's legal. And I'm forgetting and we'll put that in the comments or something. There's
Yeah, we
actually
can put
a
it.
U.S. Constitution. It's a section something.
Yeah, we can put it in the description.
And then anybody, so you can pay my mortgage payment, but I own the deed. So that's the document that gives me the right for real estate.
Exactly.
Okay.
The ownership.
So what we say is, okay, hand me over your deed. The note is still in your name, but I'm gonna make sure that I pay that note. So you become the bank, pretty
Exactly.
much. Okay. And then as a bank, you have all the rights that a regular bank has. So if I don't make the payment, you can foreclose and take over
Foreclose.
the deed back again.
Exactly.
But those are very, again, it just, deploying multiple strategies to take over if you know only one, then you're not going to be able to, I don't know how to do subject to.
And
Or-
you'll be surprised. People might be thinking, why do I want to give my house away to somebody and keep doing the payments?
You'll be very
You'll be
surprised.
surprised.
Yeah.
Check this out. I sold a house, and it's an unfortunate situation. With these people, we sold the house. We bought a new construction. A month later, he's calling me that he's getting divorced. They need to get out of the house.
Yeah.
They can't sell because now they're gonna need to pay $25,000 to sell the house. And I'm like, man, I hate to do this, but if something, last resort, so you don't get hit in the transaction, you don't
Right.
lose any money. I can take over the payment. I can take over the house, and at least you don't lose money and you don't lose your credit because now
Yeah.
coming back, losing money and losing the credit because of a foreclosure, that's even worse. So we're not taking advantage. In reality, we're actually solving a huge problem. to
Huge
people.
problem. Yeah. I mean, and it's only people who are in this situation understand. But you have to understand that also as an investor, that you're also looking for those as well.
Oh, of
Those are
course.
low hanging fruit. I mean, again,
Uh-huh.
that requires no money. Maybe
Exactly.
sometimes you may pay a down payment.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take over whatever, and then you agree to a buy price, obviously.
Exactly.
Right? With seller financing, and then you all may pay them a small down payment of $10,000 or whatever it is.
So they can get something.
Subject to is even easier because you're just taking over the note. They don't want the property or they can't afford it anymore, whatever the reason is.
Whatever
So
the
we
reason.
bought one last year, and nothing wrong with the house. The guy got a job in Oklahoma, and he moved away. So now he's paying two mortgages. Right? He had no equity or nothing. I mean, the house had since then has equity.
Yeah.
When we got it, like, okay, it has a little bit of equity, but we'll just take over your payment. We did the due diligence, and it was rent positive. It was in the 1.25. It's like, okay, we'll take over. So now we're paying his note, but he handed over the deed.
Exactly.
And then literally you don't even have, I mean, I don't want to preach that, but it's good to go through a title company because they do all the title insurance and things like that. But you can literally go to the county clerk house and sign a $50 certificate, and that's your house.
Yep.
So,
Before we run out of money, I know that you had a big project on your hands. Tell me a little bit about it.
which one?
The stocks and crypto
Yeah, I
and
mean,
all that.
that's been coming over the last year and a half or so. So once you're in the real estate and you have some passive income coming, you need to diversify as well into different things. And then, I mean, again, this could be another 2-hour long discussion, but in general, we started learning how does the market make money when everybody's not making money.
Exactly.
Okay, and then what are the factors? Why is these big guys always making money, even the market goes down and up and things like that? So we started investing, and then I joined this mastermind, and then of course, you get to know people. Everything is about people. It's like, what they say is now is not who you know, it's who you know, who knows what,
Exactly.
right? So then I started learning, and then I actually went to a very intensive trading boot camp.
Uh-huh.
It was very long. The guy who taught this, and again, I don't know if I can mention his name or not, but the guy who taught the course was a student of Warren Buffett.
Oh,
Right?
wow.
So, and it's a pretty penny.
We're
It
talking
is
big
expensive.
leagues.
It's expensive. But again, it's one of those things. It's
Uh-huh.
my mantra. It's not what it costs, it's what it makes you.
Yeah, it's the value, it's not
Okay.
the cost.
So then we started learning about how these investors get out before the bottom falls, and how these investors get back in before it starts shooting back up, and they just ride the wave, and then it just
Uh-huh.
like Warren Buffett says, I don't ever sell a company, and I used to be confused, like, what do you mean you don't ever sell a company? So how do you make money? And then they taught you the strategies, how you make the money. Like, you literally get paid to buy the stock. There's strategies for that. Okay, but it takes a lot of charting, a lot of formulas. Shiller's PE ratios. You have to memorize Kelly's ratio. So there's like all the big heads have created their own that were the most successful. Like I follow Ray Dalio, right? One of the greatest right now hedge fund manager.
Uh-huh.
So people like that, they have their own system. So to learn their system, it takes a lot, and it's an active thing that you have to do if you're trading according to what they're and investing. Not just trading, but investing. Investing is not gambling. You have done your research. You believe in a company, so you don't buy stocks, you buy companies.
Exactly.
Right? So if you like McDonald's, buy McDonald's. But when do you buy McDonald's? Like Warren Buffett says, I'll never sell Coca-Cola.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he never says I won't sell Coca-Cola stock because he believes in the company. It's like the most lucrative formula. They sell sugar water, but he loves it, and then he never sells the stocks. So there are strategies where the market maker, that's actually official term, the market maker pays you for the promises that you're making, either you're buying or selling. Okay, and it's option trading. But then also there are some methods where Warren Buffett or people like him, even not as big, but like they have bought these stocks, believed in the company and bought those, and have lowered down their basis to the point where they own the stock at $0.
Wow.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, so my eyes were like, just my jaw was like on the floor, and I'm like kicking myself and happy at the same time. Like, what? And then the training session actually taught us how to get out of the market before what hits the fan.
Exactly.
Okay, and then their triggers, they're built in, but nobody teaches that.
Oh, I
Right,
see.
which is to me is a crime. Like I have an MBA. I never learned that in my MBA class, how to protect your money, because they're not every school, not just my school. They're more interested in making bean counters, right?
Yes.
They teach you how to do books and all that, but they don't teach you the basics. Like, this is what you look at and get out before this happens.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they pretty much college nowadays, they're teaching good employees.
Oh yeah,
They're not teaching
they want to make
thinkers.
you a good employee.
They're not teaching
Yeah.
thinkers.
No, they're not.
And the last time we talked and we started talking about books and everything, I have learned, I can say I had a electrical engineer degree and a master in management. And I learned more in the 80 something books that I read last year that cost me less than $1,000 than my 6-7 years in college.
It is so true. Like, it's a funny saying. It's like they say you become what you eat. You also become what you read.
Exactly.
It's
and
that simple.
the people you have around.
Yeah, it's just an amazing thing. It's like because and I would talk to the guy who was leading the group, and it's like, why they don't teach this? Like, because otherwise the college would be one semester long.
Exactly.
It is that simple. But the knowledge is not given to you, basically.
Which I don't regret going to college, because it set actually a really good foundation of what I am right now. For example, when I get into something, I finish it. Like I get into real estate, I went all in, and
Yeah.
a lot of people get surprised how quickly. I mean,
No,
it's
I
right
mean-
there.
You know, when you're starting, it's like college, it gives you the foundation. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, depending on what you do with it, you may have a better foundation than the others, like
Exactly.
a trade, you know, doctor, lawyer, whatever it is.
Exactly.
So I tell my kids this: it's like you can do whatever you want to do, but because that will give you a history of finance. So you'll have a good credit, you'll have a good job. Because no matter who is and where you're starting, you need to have those basic things.
Exactly.
Because you will need a good credit.
You will.
So and then use the job to get out of a job. Does it make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
So use the job to get out of a job. Work your way up, save some money, and start investing somewhere, anywhere.
And whatever. Man, I started flipping cars.
There you go.
I actually right now I had a few cars renting on Turo. That is like an Airbnb but for cars.
Exactly.
I had a couple of cars that I have probably $6,000 each in. It's giving me $500
Yeah, I
a
mean, you're
month.
sleeping and then you have passive income coming.
I have
right?
cars working for me. And something that I say, a lot of people don't get mad at people making money and getting rich.
Don't
and
hate the game.
Don't get,
Donate the player.
don't, exactly. Just learn how to play the game.
Exactly.
Start asking the question, how?
Yes.
How they're doing.
How? Oh my! I mean, so what's the name of the Alibaba's founder?
Yeah.
Your ma.
No, I forgot. I don't know.
Skipping my mind.
Alibaba's owner.
Yeah, his famous saying he gave a speech. He said that today is hard, tomorrow is harder. Okay,
Uh-huh.
but day after tomorrow is great. But most people die tomorrow evening. So just before the success, it's the darkest before dawn, right?
Uh-huh.
So just before success, they quit usually.
No, and actually, I had another one. I think it was Grant Cardone who said it. Living poor or broke is hard. Working hard to get rich is hard too. Pick your heart.
Pick your heart.
Which
Yeah, pick your
which
heart.
life you
Yeah.
want to live, man?
Well, there's so many cliches.
Exactly.
Like, you want to be happy and broke or rich and sad. I'll take rich and sad because it solves
every
so
day.
many other problems
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
have. I mean, but actually they literally just did a research and it proved that the more money you have, the happier you are. They literally a research was done by Boston Scientific or something. So I don't know. Again, it's just one
Yeah,
of those
but
myths,
don't tell me you're happier than a person that doesn't need to worry about
Yeah.
paying their mortgage, making groceries, saving every penny to go on vacation, medical bills. Don't tell me you're happier.
I know. I mean, this podcast is turning into more mindset.
Yeah.
But that is the most important
Yeah,
thing
but
that
that's-
you can come into this field with.
That's actually the foundation for investing on
Anything.
everything.
Yes, or
Mindset.
with anything. You know, you
On
want to be a
anything.
good doctor, be the best doctor there is. You want to be a good lawyer, be the best. You want to be an artist, be the best.
You know
mindset.
that my dad told me that. Literally told me that. I don't care what you do in life, be the best one.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't care. He
hard
told
work
me.
trumps everything.
He used to give me a hard time saying,
Well,
"You
which-
wanna be the best beautician? You wanna be a beautician? I don't care, but be the
Be
best
the
one."
best. Yeah,
I'm
just
like,
outwork everybody.
That I wanna
and this
be.
is the difference between even real estate. Okay, I talked to so many people, and they started on the journey, but for whatever reason they just didn't believe enough in them or the process or whatever, and they just could. Oh, I couldn't land a deal. Why not? You know, my first deal was from a sticky note. My very first deal.
"You kidding me?"
No, I'm not joking. So I didn't have money. I mean, I had money, but I didn't have I don't want to spend. I was so scared. And I
Exactly.
don't want to spend 5,000, 10,000, whatever in marketing and whatnot strategies they had. So I picked an area that okay, I'm gonna market this area. So one day I literally on the weekend filled up the car and drove around the neighborhood, and then the houses, depending on the strategy that we teach, you go and see which house you want, like a dumpy house we call it. Right? and not cared for, maybe it's a potential, and I start putting sticky notes on the mailbox.
Wow.
Don't open the mailbox. That's a crime.
That is a
put it-
crime. Don't
just
do it. Put it
top
on
of
the side.
Yeah, put it on top. One guy called. Okay,
Wow.
one guy called, and he said, "Yeah, I mean, he had a situation where his father-in-law was in care, like he had pretty much like on his last bet, right? And before passing, he wanted to make sure that the house gets sold, so the daughters or whatever, kids get the benefit of the money and stuff. Decent house, needed a lot of work, but decent house, nice area, and I bought the house. My first house made me $25,000
Wow. Out of
on a sticky note and
On a
a
sticky
$10 gas. So I mean, you just have to believe in it, right?
Yeah, the other and
I'm not gonna say
exactly.
my second was this easy, but
But I mean,
but that made me believe that works.
that changed your mindset right then and there.
Oh, it was like somebody unscrew the brain, put a new one in, never look back, right? So,
Yeah, and man, I've done a lot of stuff. I've been working in car washes. I remember when I was in high school, I used to go to one of my friend's house and wash his dad cars. There were 3 cars every Saturday, 8 in the morning. I remember one day I paint a house for a car.
right. So,
So I mean, there's
that's
so
more
much.
Gary V mentality.
Gary
Gary V, right? So
Yeah,
he's
I was
a
in high
big
school.
proponent, and I am too, of
Yeah.
hustling.
Yes.
But he's still like, I mean, he's well off, right? He still goes out and does garage sale.
Garage
hunting.
sale.
And he's a
Garage
baseball
flipping.
card guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and he says, okay, so the point of all of this is, there is hustle needed.
Yeah.
And it takes a little bit of determination, but once you cross that,
Yeah, and that brings me to the other day. I mean, a few months ago, I was talking to this friend that I used to go to school, and he's in the social handouts mindset, and we were talking something about what if a dad has only $600 and he doesn't have anything else. Well, the government coming in and helping out that for him to at least make the ends of the month. And I'm like, dude, can you walk? Can you talk? Do you have your hands?
Again, the mindset.
There's no excuses. No, but what if? For every what if, I had a solution.
Yeah.
To prove him wrong, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna flip a couch, like Ryan Pineda.
Ryan Pineda. Yeah, that's right.
He actually became famous. Actually, I was watching a podcast from him a few days ago. That's the one that actually made him famous. I text him, you know what? I'm gonna prove you. I'm gonna go flip a couch. I went on Facebook Market. I found a couch for free.
Like, how hard can that be to flip, right? There's infinite ROI.
Exactly. I went to pick it up for free. I brought it home. I got a guy that used to clean the carpets. Deep clean, it cost me $35. I ordered the paws on Amazon, $11. How much? $46 in?
Yeah, for about 50
And I
bucks.
sold it for $75.
Again, it's this doesn't matter how big you get.
No.
Right? The hustle has to be there, and that's driven by commitment and mindset.
Exactly.
And then once you get rolling, then roll it into something else.
Sky is the limit.
Yeah, it's these days it's also, people want to acquire so much of the fancy stuff. Get to the point where the things that you are investing in pay for those.
Exactly.
Like I tell my kids all the time, like, I want this. Well, what is it gonna pay for? What is paying for it?
Exactly.
Right? Something has to pay for it. Otherwise, it's the pizza slice is same. You can only cut it so much before it gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
Exactly.
So either you grow the pie or you have other pies.
Exactly.
Okay, and a lot of people don't get this, but have other source of income. Like a typical millionaire has 7 typical, Why? Because they don't want to have put all eggs in one basket.
Mm-hmm.
They want to diversify, and that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
You know, so we mentioned crypto, commercial, residential. You have a logistic company which is transport.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you can have something else on the side.
Yeah.
Social media could be another revenue generator.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, diversify. Don't just
Yeah, and me personally, I buy whatever there's profit, I'll buy.
yeah buy. We'll buy anything for the right price. So are you teaching right now?
Right now, yeah, we're actually coaching brokers in
This is a shameless plug for you.
Miami. Yeah, my broker and I were coaching another brokers in Florida. I have my team of realtors under me that I'm coaching them. And man, a lot of the times I have referrals from residential agents that they don't know how to do commercial. I pay
Right.
them a fee, I do the transaction, and if they want, I can teach them and for the deal. So yeah, I'm teaching as well.
That's nice. Because I coach, like I take on students, not as much because I'm just so busy these days, but
Mhm.
yeah, people reach out to me and I help them out as much as I can.
Yeah.
Because it takes time. Because,
It
you know,
does.
this is, you know, I think the best coaches out there right now, there's Cody was one, that was mine.
Yeah.
Cody Sparber. There's Ryan Panetta. So they have, again, but they charge and stuff.
Yeah.
Right, so there's lots of information available,
Hmm.
but a lot of people get into analysis paralysis and they don't act.
Exactly.
So this is where the coach comes in, really. Okay, because
Just do it.
once you commit to a coach, because there's a mentor and then there's a coach, two
Yeah.
different things. Okay,
Yeah.
mentor will guide you, like I give you a strategy, do this, and that, but that doesn't cut it usually. Right, you need if you're unable to take that step, you need a coach.
Yeah.
Right, so get yourself a coach, whoever it is.
Yeah, and
You know,
something that I learned kind of the hard way is I tried to do everything myself, which gladly I did it, but it doesn't happen all the time. So you want to go with somebody that is actually doing it already.
yeah.
So they can teach you the ins and out, and you're not blind.
Yeah, this is
On
the
the
lesson
deals.
in all of the investing books, or
Exactly.
like learn the trade from the guy who's doing it.
Exactly.
So if you read Richest Guy in the Babylon, it tells you in a story.
Uh-huh.
You know, don't believe the guy who's like, oh, I know how to do it, but he's not doing it. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like business school learning from teachers that doesn't have business.
Exactly. Well, that's a common theme around the U.S. right now. No, I mean, you guys can reach us, and we're talking a little too fast right now.
Yeah,
some things may be over because
Yeah.
there's so many avenues getting into real estate. It's like I call it like a stadium, right? There's
Uh-huh.
so many entry points, and this is where the confusion happens. Like, well, which one should I do? Like it used to be my question.
Mhm.
Like, okay, well, there's so many, but tell me which one should I do? But there was not a right answer, and I found that like once I started doing that,
Yeah, the thing is that pretty much all of them are the right
every
answer.
single one works.
Exactly, because you do single family
Yeah,
more. I like commercial more,
every single strategy
and
works.
inside commercial, I like land development more.
Yes, well, I'm getting into that.
Coming from an engineering background,
Yeah.
I found that land development I love it, and warehouses industrial because I understand. But my friend, he only does self storage and multifamilies, 50 doors and up. That's all he
Right.
does.
Yeah,
I-
so that's where the people get stuck.
Exactly.
Okay, so I was gonna actually ask you this. How much time do I have? I don't want to.
We have like 20 minutes.
Okay, I was gonna ask you that. Like most times, like realtors will come to me, but they're only interested in the commission-based selling and buying. So, and I tell them, if you get into the investment part, while you're taking 3% or 5%, whatever it is, you can take 100%,
Exactly.
but it doesn't resonate.
It doesn't.
So
You know what? Actually, I'm getting coming back into wholesaling and flipping houses. And I was talking to my broker the other day. She's like, well, you need to be careful because you do have a license, you can lose it. And yes, I understand, but I'm presenting three options. I can sell it for top value. I can do this, I can do that.
There's actually like a legal statute. Like if you're not representing as a realtor,
Uh-huh.
then that is void.
I'm clean.
Exactly. If you didn't say, well, you can say I'm not being a realtor right now, but I am whatever. So each state is different as well.
Yeah.
So you have to look at your laws and whatnot.
Yeah.
Usually, how it works like you have a partner team,
Uh-huh.
right? So maybe you are an investor, but your wife is, or spouse, or whoever, wife or girlfriend is a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that comes in handy because we say you need 5 people in your team. A
Yep.
realtor is one of them.
Yep.
Title company is another one. Hard money lender is another one. A good contractor.
Contractor. I think that's the most
another
important one.
Podcast. Man.
That's another 2 hours.
podcast. Yeah, that's 2 hours. Yeah, they're lovely people. But it's coming around. Again, it's
Yeah.
supply and demand.
Yeah.
So when it was everybody's was building, like there still are,
Uh-huh.
but interest rate only not affects the buyers, but it affects
It affects the seller.
investors also.
Uh-huh.
Because now our capacity to borrow money is less too.
Mm-hmm.
Because now we have to borrow at very high
A
rate.
higher percent.
Okay?
Exactly.
So now because of that, the construction slows down. So now I see a lot of these contractors looking for work. Like they're calling us.
Literally,
like,
one of my
yeah.
guys called me yesterday.
Which is good and bad. We don't want them, whatever. It's they're
Yeah.
tradesmen. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but when it's supply is so short, you can find one for a bucket of gold.
Yeah, and now I'm at the point where I still holding my license, and I think I'm gonna keep it for a long time, because and this is something for the realtors. You can wholesale the houses, you can buy the houses, but you hear all these investors, and you have done it. You analyze so many opportunities
Right.
that the person wants to sell, just not for the price that you're offering.
And if you're
So
not
you
comfortable-
delete that listing.
Yes.
Me as a realtor, okay, you don't want to sell it for the price? Okay, let me sell it for you. I still making 3%.
There's like I work with realtors too. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot that you can do with realtors by making that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then there's a way to pay the realtors also.
Exactly.
Like this is what I don't understand. Is one deal better for you, or if I bring 10 deals to you is better than you? Right? So
Exactly.
so it's the volume. Fine, you're not getting like whatever, but I'm gonna be coming back to you if you help me.
Exactly.
And then you all like every realtor has come up across a property that they cannot list. That
Exactly.
they know it's not gonna go for what the asking is and whatnot, because seller wants to sell it for the highest price.
Yeah.
And the market is not supporting that. So now there's a realtor and the seller is in a tight spot. So you can bring those deals to us, and then we'll give a fair price according to the market,
Mhm.
obviously.
Exactly.
right? So I had this example, nicest guy you can be, and he's selling his house, right? So it's a rundown house. He has, he's lived in it when he left it. So houses don't do well when you just leave them alone. And so I gave him a very good offer. It was actually when the market was hot.
Mhm.
We gave him a very good offer, and he said, "No, I think I'm gonna list it." So the amount that he listed, right, after the fees and title, and because we usually pay closing cost,
Mm-hmm.
he was gonna get the same money,
The
and I
same.
was gonna write him a check. So again, it's just that, and I tried convincing him and whatnot, but he was realtors usually,
Yeah. The ones that are not in the game.
not in the game. They usually no, I can sell, but he's getting the same. Like you can work with me, and I can pay you a commission,
Exactly.
right? So, but don't spoil the deal for the person. His house till this day is still on the market because now the market is down. Nobody
Exactly.
wants to spend $50,000 on the house. That's not gonna fetch the money that.
Yeah. And,
So
and
you basically you ended up hurting
you
the
lose,
guy,
you
right?
lose both.
Yeah.
And actually, now you hurt the seller.
So he has to now hold on to property even for maybe another year or something.
Uh-huh.
You know.
And maybe, I don't know, there's so many reasons that we need to sell a
Yeah,
house.
he called me like literally a month or so ago. Hey Nick, are you still buying? I'm like, I'm still buying, but I'm just being honest with you, because I can't sell it or rent it for the ratios.
Mhm.
It's gonna be less, and
Yeah.
of course, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, it's not gonna work.
So happens.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll say for the realtors that wanna get in the game, read books. There's a lot of books. Actually, the book for beginners that is gonna really open your mind is the Burr Method.
That Burr method is pretty good.
It's
Yeah.
pretty good. It goes into detail. Of course, you're not gonna become a master flipping houses out of one book, but it's gonna really open your
Yeah.
mind.
And it's all about taking that first step. Really.
Exactly.
You just have to execute. At some point, read all the books, get all the knowledge, and then just decide if you want to do it. Okay?
Exactly.
You start with the lowest hanging fruit, just wholesale. You don't even have to market. Just talk to people. Just talk to people.
Literally.
There's actually a coach. His whole thing is talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll see that one thing leads to another, and sometimes there's an incubation period. You don't know things are happening, but they're happening.
They are
But you
actually
just gotta
happening.
stick to it, and then some lead will come your way, and you'll be like, "Oh, who told you that?" Nowadays, like I don't market as much because I'm doing a bunch of other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then the leads come to me and it's like, who told you about that? You know, whatever. And
Mhm.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
So it's putting that foundation down really good. It's the story of the bamboo tree, right?
Uh-huh.
Right? So you water it for 1 year, nothing happens. Second year, nothing happens. But like the third, fourth year,
All
it
the
grows
time.
80 feet in 6 weeks. So that's what it is. Even though you don't see it, but you
Yeah.
keep working, it's going to be fruitful.
Yeah, and
It's tested
something
and tried.
exactly, and something that I actually teach my agents in my office is a numbers game, and it's
Yes.
been proven.
Yes.
I read it and I prove it myself. You make 100 attempts.
Yeah.
You make 25 contacts. Let's say you're doing cold callings. I do cold callings and text messages. So let's say you do 100 calls. From that 100 calls, 25 people are going to answer the phone. Even if they tell you, I don't want to sell, fuck off, and they hang up, that's one contact. So
Right.
from 100 calls, 25 contact. From those 25 contacts, you're going to get 3 to 5 appointments. And from those 3 to 5 appointments, you're going to have one deal, 1 or 2
Yeah.
deals.
So again, we're getting into scaling, right? So you're reverse engineering basically,
Exactly.
and that's what I teach too. It's all numbers, right? So you figure out what does it take to get one deal.
Exactly.
Just multiply it.
Multiply by 10.
I know it sounds easy, but it's the process, right? So you made 100 calls, maybe you got 7 good leads or 10 good leads, okay? Out of those 10 good leads, you made 2 signed deals.
Exactly.
So 100 calls, 2 deals. Well, then 200 calls,
Make
4
1,000
deals.
calls.
And it could be more than 4. Could be, but
Exactly.
the average number is that.
Exactly. And I prove it to my agents and I prove it to myself.
Yeah.
And then you just have to be disciplined.
You just have to be disciplined. And now, nowadays, there's so many systems that can keep you disciplined. You know, like I'm going to give you like the CRM. You have to use a CRM.
You
Once you get good at it, you
have
have to
to.
use a CRM. So Podio is pretty cheap.
Yeah.
It keeps your lead gen,
Yeah.
in organized. There's a workflow.
Yeah.
So that's almost free, I think. I think there's a free version too.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So things like that, but then once you get the money rolling in, maybe you made a deal, reinvest 25% or
Exactly.
more, or
Exactly.
reinvest.
Pay yourself perks.
Oh, pay. Again, another talk. That's a long one. That's a long one.
That's another one. But yeah, we try to systemize and make everything as automated as possible.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell them. And then something they tell me, for example, in the cold calls, oh, but they hang up on me, or I'm scared to talk to somebody.
That's gonna
And
happen.
I'm like, dude,
Yeah, it's
30 seconds after you hang up the phone, that person completely forgot about you. And you're
right.
stressing out.
And I teach my students this, how to handle rejection and things like that. But it takes some getting used to. If you're doing cold call, like I'm not a cold caller.
I do.
I'm not.
I do.
I mean, there's a script, whatnot, and the first call is always the most awkward because you have no idea what that person is. You got to build rapport. The people that are calling you sometimes that is contentious. Like, what are you gonna pay for my house? I'm like, sometimes I get one of those.
Yeah.
Well, and then you have to kind of, put your sales hat on and talk, get information. Never discuss price on the first call. I mean, these are all tips we go through. Never discuss like, oh, your house is worth this much. Get the information
and make them talk. I make them call.
Yeah,
talk.
make them because the more they talk means the longer they're on the phone or in person with you, the more rapport you're gonna build. So just pick similarities and mirror. We teach that too, and then you'll find that you just gotta break down those defenses.
Exactly.
And then it's a solution that you're gonna provide them at the end.
And something that you'll realize after you start talking to people, you're gonna be repeating yourself over and over because even though they're saying different words, the answer is exactly the same.
Yeah.
So the more you practice, the more you're gonna be used to it. And okay, I've said this before. Okay, this is what I need to say.
Yeah, and then you make it your own.
Exactly.
But you gotta have a start. Like we can send you a script and you just because those are just starting points. No one conversation is the same. You're saying in general the same topic because you're trying to get information.
Exactly.
Every deal is different. There should be a book after I'm done with it. Stories but it's so interesting. So I think we talked last year about this land, 65 acre. That was I was going for. It was land development. Right? And interesting story, right? The guy is 80 years old. He's a rancher. Okay, but he finds himself in now a booming city. So he's getting crunched in. So he wants to get out. Okay. So every time I've gone to visit him, he's on a horse. He doesn't even get off the horse. So I'm saying, so just imagine you're like standing there, he's 8 foot on the horse, and then we actually signed a deal one time, but he didn't want to sell all of it and whatnot, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna go to replat and whatnot. So we ended up not getting it. But then the funniest thing is like the guy is a total cowboy. Okay, cowboy, and I tell him we were signing contract. It's like, do you want me to email the contract to you? He goes, you email it to me, I'll shoot you. He's like, because he doesn't know computers. He's literally on a horse all the time. He barely text messages. So again, you have to just deal with these type of people, and he became a friendly person. But just.
Yeah, and when you help people and you genuinely help people, they become friends, and that's something that investors, they had a bad reputation because we're greedy,
and
which they are a lot of them out there.
Product of abundance. That's what
exactly.
It is. So because now there's so much that everybody gets in. So and sometimes wrong people get in.
Exactly.
Because they're just there for the taking, and they're really not interested in the customer.
Helping people.
I know every single of my sellers. Okay, you can say this property. I can just tell you because I literally helped one of their problems.
We're solving problems.
We took down a property. It's a 13-acre beautiful ranch, house on it, and the guy was an absentee owner. He had rented it to somebody with a 40-horse stable, beautiful property, but of course neglect. So whoever rented it just trashed it.
Wow.
Right, and then this guy went through some life changes as well and problems, and he owed a lot of money on the property, and then it's trashed like $100,000 or more. Because he had to fix there was a pond in the middle. It was all messed up. Like the first day I went to the property and I could see the house and I said, hey, where's the pool? I couldn't see the pool. It was like just jungle. So it was that trashed up. Yeah. And, but there's so many problems that came with the property, but you start solving one, solve the other, So have some gratitude that you get to solve all those problems.
Exactly, and care about people. That's something that I say, and that's actually how you're gonna get a lot of
That's how you get
people. When people realize that you care about them,
Yep.
they're gonna open up
Yeah,
because
if you're gonna be shady and you're just gonna take the money and run, kind of it bleeds off of you. People smell it right away.
Exactly.
Be genuine. I mean, you really try to find why they're trying to sell the property, what the problem is, because at the end, we saved him from foreclosure, we saved him from bankruptcy, we got him out of all debt, so he was debt free. He was beyond relief. At the
debt
end.
free.
I got a property.
Good credit.
Right.
A huge relief out of their back, and you get the property.
And you wouldn't believe the very first call, he actually called me. Actually, his wife called. And all she said on the call, I will not take less than this money. That's it. And she hung up. And she gave me the address and stuff. I'm like, okay. And I started researching. And when I called back, and then we started talking. And then the guards were down. And then they started telling us, like, we were in this. Can you help us?
Yeah.
You know, we ended up, I actually wholesaled that property. You know, some rancher bought it.
The thing is, you have to get to the why, because that's one thing. In at least in residential, it doesn't happen a lot in commercial. Commercial is more about numbers, and like you say, if the numbers make sense, it makes sense.
Right.
Now, when you're buying residential investments, it becomes more emotional transactions. So
Right.
you have to get to the why
Yeah, it's
before you
always
get to the numbers.
very emotional, and it's always nobody wants to lose the house. Nobody wants to sell the house for no reason. Okay? So there's always some underlying problems, health, financial, whatever it is. So you have to kind of get to it. In commercial, what I'm seeing right now, because a lot of baby boomers are retiring, so they have their businesses and things, so they're trying to get out of that. So there's opportunity in
It
that
is.
as well.
And another one that a lot of people are not seeing coming in commercial, there's a lot of loans that are coming to maturity this year.
Yeah, and that again has to do with, it's again, it was so easy to acquire properties, so a lot of people got loans that were 80-20.
Yes.
Okay, so that means 80.
You put
80%,
20% down,
yeah.
80% down.
But 80, that 20% was financed at a higher rate.
That's
So they didn't have any money, but they could see that, at the end, I can afford that payment. So they were like, okay, fine, whatnot. But that 20% was adjustable or whatnot, and it's due before. So now because of that, they're upside down, and
Yeah.
foreclosures are, it's a ripple effect in
Yeah, and something now that you mentioned that, something that I've learned from commercial is that you don't want to leverage commercial too much,
Right, yeah.
and it can get really ugly.
Right. Every time you overstretch beyond the revenue of any property, you're asking for it, because you never
Yeah.
know what you can have a 50% empty capacity on commercial, then what,
Yeah.
right? And you're over leveraged, then you can't make payments, and then you're in trouble.
And the actually for the new investors or even buyers, the thing about commercial that they cannot do on residential is that they can call the loan anytime.
Oh
He
yeah.
has 60 days to pay it off. Now what?
Right. Again, it's another top. So again, in real estate, it's so broad,
It's
and you have to
so
know these
broad.
nuances, and you can't know that till you take in the first step, and then second step, and third step. So there are some instances where the recourse loans and non-recourse loans. So
Yeah.
so educate yourself so much that and then have a mentor or a counselor or somebody that you can go to and say, hey, I'm in this position, because I had one.
Uh-huh.
Like when I started, I got my education from Cody.
Uh-huh.
It was pretty much is the number one, and then even then I was scared. So then I actually asked one of my friends who was doing the real estate, and he was kind enough to take me under the wing, and just every time I had a question, it's like it was there, answer. That's what coaches do. It's like, when you're learning to swim, and you get panicked,
They're
they
next to you.
grab you and it's like take you to the corner. So that's what coaches do. It's like you get in trouble, you have the answer. So don't don't hesitate asking your friends or somebody you know who knows experience to get some help.
And something else, bring value. You when you go to a network and you start starting at some point, everybody start. So if I come to you, I want to bring value before I ask for the value. So okay, and there's so many ways that you can bring value to somebody. Like right now, I'm working with a few commercial investors. I have my software that is for commercial real estate. I'm putting the software available for them. Whenever you want to use it, you can use it. Let's just come to the office. And by the moment you start bringing value to people, they're more than happy to talk.
Oh, yeah.
We like to talk.
and that goes like with anything, really. You know, why would like an experienced person want to invest time while they're, because, you know, one way you can easily bring value to somebody who's already experienced is do the legwork for them.
Exactly.
Like Grant Cardone does that. He's a billionaire. But then he hires these property managers and then takes them under the wing because they're doing his work.
Exactly.
And while they're doing that, they're learning.
Exactly.
So I used to do that too for people who can't afford to pay or something like that. I would say, okay, can you do video editing? Can you do social media? Can you do this? So you provide value to me, and then I'll teach you. For
Can
free.
you supervise my constructions?
Whatever it is, right?
Show up twice a day or once a day to make sure everything, be my eyes on the film.
Yeah, I mean, before real estate, we used to be in brick and mortar stores. So a guy wanted to learn, and you know, he wanted to invest also, but he didn't know. So I said, okay, you work for me, and I'm not gonna pay you, but I'm gonna teach you everything. And then now he has his own, right? So again, provide value. So I made him run around, but then in the end, it benefited him. He's independent now, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, we're running out of time, but
This
man,
was great, man. So
I really
you can reach
appreciate
me,
the time. Yeah.
I'm Nick the
I'm
Investor.
Yeah, you have the YouTube channel,
I have
Nick the
YouTube channel,
Investor.
just search Nick the Investor. There's a lot of good material. I don't do planned. I do ad hoc videos, just provide value and things like that. So
Yeah, we're gonna put it on the description down below. Man, these meetings are gonna kill me. Take it out.